Hi, I'm Zibby from thezibbyshow.com, and today I'm going to be talking about the 5 lessons I learned from the New Edition story. Now, New Edition were a group formed back in Roxbury in Boston, made up of Bobby Brown, Ricky Bell, Mike Bivins, Ralph Tresvant, Ronnie Devoe, and at some point Johnny Gill as well. They were a really good group, had a lot of amazing music. At some point there was trouble. Bobby got kicked out of the group. But anyways, I want to talk about the movie. Now, there was a sort of mini series. It was screened on 3 nights, basically talking about their story, and it showed, the nitty gritty. Because over the years, everyone just thought, okay, Bobby was the bad boy and he got kicked out of the group. The guys voted him out and blah blah blah. There was a lot of information out there, but this time it was told by the guys themselves using a movie. Now, the thing is, maybe some parts might have been dramatized or, of course, you need to add some extras, but the story was told. And there were 5 lessons that I basically learned. As always, I've got my resources here. I always have my resources. Okay. So the first thing I learned was sometimes you need to be selfish. Ralph Tresvant he had the best vocals. He was the lead singer. From the movie, he was shown to be very devoted. He would record even while the other guys didn't really want to and stuff. But Ralph always put the group first. It was the group, the guys, before Ralph. So Ralph lost out on some opportunities. Maurice Starr, according to the movie, tried to sign him as a solo act and he said no. And then, went on to the group that was signed by, the dodgy guys who put them on the MC or something. And even while there, Ralph was basically carrying the group on his shoulders. And then at some point he realized, man, I want to go out. He felt he wasn't getting the support from the guys for his solo project. And the record bosses convinced him again to do a New Edition album before his studio album, his debut as a solo artist. So I feel like maybe if Ralph had struck out at the time when the offers were on the table, he might have, gone on to have a very, very successful solo career. I mean, don't get me wrong. He had that album that was good, but there could have been more after that, and there hasn't really been more. So Ralph basically put the group first. So that's a lesson. Sometimes you need to be selfish. This is regarding Bobby Brown. Sometimes you need the negatives to happen because they prepare you for the positives and the highs. Now, Bobby Brown was kicked out of the group and he went back to selling dope and, just feeling sorry for himself. But the thing is, if he wasn't kicked out of the group, he would never have been a solo star. And he wouldn't have gone on to win the Grammy and become, the Prince of R&B at the time. Some people called him the King of R&B, but Bobby Brown was unstoppable. When he was performing, it was like, time stood still. And the amazing thing is, I actually saw Bobby Brown and the guys from Bill Biv DeVoe, Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike. Yeah, it's hard to say that. Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike. Yeah, they performed in Lagos, Nigeria in December, and it was an amazing concert. One of the best concerts I've ever been to. The energy was just amazing from start to finish. Loved it. So, and, at that time, Bobby was 49. The guys were 50. Bobby is 50 now, by the way, but I can imagine how electrifying it would have been to watch Bobby in his prime. Absolutely amazing. So Bobby needed the bad things to happen so he could grow and become his own person and carve a space for himself in R&B music history, which he did. Well, the third lesson is sometimes people genuinely care for you and they will try to help you, but unfortunately their efforts are hindered, not because they're bad, but because of their lack of knowledge or ignorance. So it doesn't mean they're bad people. It just means they didn't have the right knowledge. Like with Brooke Payne, he was the manager, he was the choreographer, he basically was doing so much for the kids. But when it came to the money part, Brooke didn't really have a clue. And that's why he got fired by the moms. Now, I don't know if this happened in real life, but I'm going by what was, in the movie. So it does seem like sometimes people have the best intentions for you, but their own lack of knowledge might get in the way. And when that happens, it's always good to realize that they didn't really mean it that way. It just happened that way. So Brooke was a great guy. I mean, he was in Lagos, Nigeria with the guys as well. I didn't get a chance to meet them. I'm still upset because, the day they came over to my radio station, I wasn't working that day, but it was still good to actually watch. Okay, so the 4th lesson I learned from the New Edition story. Not everyone who steps into your life and tries to help you is actually doing it for your own good. There are certain people who are going to come into your life and try to help you because it makes them look good or they have something to gain. So it's not for you. So not every offer of help should be accepted. I mean, it might be hard to know, but you just always need to realize that sometimes when someone is doing too much, it's like, what's in it for this person? So that was what it was with Jerry Busby, you know. And then the manager, who was portrayed by Michael Rappaport, he seemed to be the great guy. He said, I'll make you money, I'll take you everywhere, blah, 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 blah. And he ripped them off the same way that they had been ripped off previously. So he wasn't in it for them. He was basically just trying to get money for them. So sometimes some people are going to try to help you and offer to help you, but it's not often in your own interest. It's probably because they're trying to get something, and that's just human behavior. And we probably all know this, but sometimes when you experience a low, you learn the real people. You know, you realize the real people around you, the people who actually love and care for you. So when you're going through a hard time and then the people you trust, people, you know, you thought you had a bond with, are just going to not care, well, guess what? It's okay. Because that happened so you could learn. They weren't there for you anyway, you know? I've been through that. You've probably been through that, where you felt betrayed by someone that you thought genuinely cared for you, but it turned out that they didn't really give a rat's ass. And it turns out they didn't really care. So yeah, that happens. So when it happens, don't beat yourself up too much about it. Such people are usually very sly. They can worm their way into your space. So don't beat yourself up about not realizing. Just be grateful that you learned that lesson. And I think that happened with most of the guys, you know, especially with Bobby. There were a lot of people around him, and when the hard times came, everyone just took off. So that's it. Those are the 5 lessons I learned from the New Edition story. I have to say, though, that movie was amazingly well done. I loved it.